and starting up your business. This might be one of the most important aspects of getting your franchise location started, and that is setting up and, of course, keeping track of your expenses and your sales and your profits. And the way that we do that is through QuickBooks. So this is a basic training on QuickBooks. Again, QuickBooks is the company that we've been using for all 19 to 20 years of the business, and it is the most well-known accounting software in the world. So if you actually go to QuickBooks, go to QuickBooks.com, it's Intuit. That's the name of the company. QuickBooks is the name of the product, and so you can kind of see here there is a whole training on different types of things with QuickBooks. Now you do have two versions of it. You can do a QuickBooks where you have it to be like in the cloud, which is a subscription on a monthly basis, which again a lot of people like to do. It's typically going to be around $10 to $12, $15 a month, and you can go here and be able to see the different types of ways to be able to pay for it. So you're talking about $120 a year to have all of your accounting software and everything that you need. There is something called the Essentials. There's something called the Plus. Right now, being in mid-December, looks like they're having some sales and some particular things throughout the year. They will tell you about different videos and different types of things to be able to get it. What's nice about our business is that it's simple. We don't necessarily need all the bells and whistles. We don't necessarily need a big, heavy backup system. We have a nice, simple system that you'll be able to use. So what I typically do is just go to the internet and buy a version of QuickBooks probably every 4 to 5 years. So again, in my 20 years of doing this business, I've had 4 to 5 different versions of QuickBooks. You can see that the QuickBooks 2017 is right now $199. So if you think about it, in the longer run, that would be a cheaper value because you're not paying a monthly subscription, and I'm going to have this for 4 years or 5 years before I buy a newer version. You don't have to buy a newer version, but obviously with technology and the stuff with banking and the stuff with credit cards and spreadsheets and all the stuff that's out there, that's why I always kind of update mine every 4 different sources. QuickBooks, either way, works. Now, again, what I'm typically going to use is my QuickBooks. So when you have QuickBooks, then you have everything available at your fingertips. And what you have now is a franchise. So a franchise means that you have a system. So Fridays always seem to be my least busiest day. Typically, I would only have 2 or 3 kids after school. I had my B&I meeting on Friday mornings, and Friday was a lot more laid back. So I always made it a point on Friday afternoons, typically after lunch, about 1 o'clock, I would sit down and do my QuickBooks. So that's what I would recommend, is finding a time once a week. I do recommend Fridays. Friday at 1 o'clock, do your QuickBooks, and then Friday at 2 o'clock, you can join our marketing call at 2 o'clock on Fridays. So it kind of gets you a pretty productive Friday afternoon to be able to organize, stay on top of your business, and then, of course, learn some marketing tips at 2 o'clock on Friday. So when you start and download this, when you buy it, you're going to download it, and it's going to get set up on your computer, or you're doing it from the cloud. And again, you can get a free trial and do some different types of things. Then what it's going to create is it's going to create a different kind of icon on your screen. You can see my QuickBooks is QuickBooks Pro 2015. When you do open up, once it's downloaded, you open this up. Okay, it's going to have your companies set up. Now you can see that I have, again, you can see that my businesses are all listed on here. This is College Finance and Planning. That was the original name of our company, and I just use that name now for my college planning business. Class 101, of course, is our big part of our business, and I do QuickBooks through that. And then there's the sample company that we show new franchise owners when they come in. You probably maybe have already seen this, but it's Stable Educational Services. So when you go to set up your company, you're going to set up your company by basically creating a new company. Now, ideally, you can set up an account with QuickBooks. You know, if you go through here and you start to try to set this up, you know, you go through, put your email in there, create a password, and I would pretty much do the same thing as what your normal email is to register with your Class 101 email. Now, I'm going to skip through this, and then what you're here now is you're at the beginning of starting your business. Now, again, we do DBAs, so doing business as. So when you set up your business, you're going to set it up, and let's just go ahead and call it Jones College Planning. Okay? The industry you're going to choose is going to be education. So you're going to go here. There's going to be a consultant or an education. Let me find it. Definitely not that. Let's go through here. Okay. Professional consulting. Okay? So when you click that, what it's going to do is it's going to help you set up all of your different categories for different types of deductions and expenses that you might have. So we set it up as professional consulting because, as you can see, there's no education, there's no different types of things like that. So now business type. Now this is where you're going to get with your accountant. Different people are at different scenarios. Some of you already own businesses or maybe property. Some of you, this is your first business ever. Some of you maybe have a spouse of some sort or different types of entities. So, and obviously there's different states. Now, I'll tell you that my companies are S corporations. That's how I set up both of my companies. So my college planning business and also my Class 101 business is set up as an S corporation. So that means it flows through to my personal taxes. So a lot of people do set up different types of LLCs. Okay? So there's different ways of setting it up. For the sake of this, I'm going to go ahead and put in here S corporation. Now, when you set up your business, you're going to set it up, and you're going to obviously get it set up through your state and through an accountant and an attorney that's going to come up with an identification number for you. So just for the sake of having this in here, we're going to put the just some numbers in here. The business address, okay? So we'll put in here the franchise address here in Lexington, the Regency Road address here, and you can see it's just the basics. Okay, so now what I want to do is actually just double check this, probably make this capitalized. And so Jones College Planning, again, doing business as Class 101. Professional consulting, S corporation, I got everything kind of in here that I need to create my company. So it's going to basically populate and create my company for me. Now again, what's nice is our business isn't something that you're going to have 100 transactions a week on. Heck, you'll be lucky to have 100 transactions a month, right? That would be a lot of deposits, which we would like, and you're not going to have that many types of expenses. So we have a basic QuickBooks that we use. Again, we typically use the QuickBooks Pro, and it's going to cost you a couple $100, and you can keep that for the 2, 3, 4 years, as I just mentioned. So as you can see now, it's populating a kind of a portal that's going to be set up for my Jones College planning. Okay, so now you can see your flow chart. There's a lot that you can do with QuickBooks. Again, we don't necessarily have a lot of invoices because we do the automatic payments. You don't necessarily have to have invoices. Now, in case you want to do invoices, there's a way up here to hit customers and to create invoices if you want to. Okay? So you can go ahead and create a customer, add a customer, and you put their information in here, and it's going to populate it, and then now you can create yourself a particular invoice. Maybe somebody owes you something, or at the end of the month, maybe you pay for a kid's ACT, and you have to get back the 42, 45 bucks, or whatever the situation is where you got an invoice. Maybe somebody was supposed to send you a check and they didn't. I have a lot of people that pay in 2 checks. Right? They'll pay half of it down, and they'll pay half at the beginning of the school year, and so I'm going to send them an invoice or necessarily some type of statement to remind them that their payment is due that month. So you can create your statements. Now in here again, right, here's when you can receive your create your invoices, and then this is where you're going to basically check off once people start to pay you. So you can kind of keep track of all of that, again, available statements and invoices through the QuickBooks. Now what's nice is that QuickBooks has training, so has videos, has different types of things to get as fancy as you possibly can, like payroll, turn on payroll. Now, like any company, QuickBooks has different features that you can use to, you'll pay more, but they have a QuickBooks function and where you can buy checks and where you can do the credit cards and processing and all this stuff through them. And again, right, that's probably a little fancy for us. Number one is we already have a corporate partner, again with Streamline Solutions as of right now, Streamline Payments, and they do our credit card stuff. Payroll, I got to tell you, I'd recommend a professional. There's only about 3 or 4 different things that you can do in our business that could absolutely sabotage or shut down your business. And one of them is messing with taxes. Self-employment taxes, federal taxes, state taxes. We do pretty well here. And once your business gets rolling, right, you're going to have people that pay you, and you don't necessarily need the money. It might be a freshman, pays in full. You're going to have that student for 3 or 4 years. So staying wise with your money and not necessarily thinking it's all yours when you get it, because obviously you're going to have that student for 3 or 4 years. So what I like to do is I like to hire a professional to do my payroll. So I hire a payroll company to do my own personal payroll. I don't want to keep track of taxes. I don't want to have to keep track of those forms and the quarterlies and the different types of local taxes and what's due and so on and so forth. So I pay a professional. Payroll companies are generally between $30 and $50 every time that you do a payroll. So you can do a payroll a month, or maybe you have to do it twice a month, and that will help keep track of all of your taxes. So that's what I would recommend with payroll. Now, again, sometimes accountants do this. Sometimes they have the QuickBooks specialist on staff. So please do get with your accountant on payroll or find a payroll company. There's national ones like Paychex and ADP and other different types of people that are out there that, again, are national payroll providers. Again, for the $100 to collect my taxes, to send my taxes off, no doubt in my mind that a payroll company is by far one of the best things that you can get and use. So what you're going to have is your payroll, and again, invoices, but what are you going to use this the most for? And that is obviously your banking. Okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to use your register. Okay? Now, obviously, you're going to have to set up your bank. right? So what you're going to do is you're going to set up and start to create your banking so you can have a register that's going to look like a normal check register, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to find and use your banking tab, okay? So let's see over here. And again, you're going to add your bank. Bank feed, okay? Set up bank feed, okay? Again, there's lots of different things that you can do now with QuickBooks, right? Including downloading your statements, putting your statements in here, and a variety of these different types of things, okay? So pretty nice. So now you can also write checks. Again, we don't normally write that many checks, but you can do it so you can have your checks and run them through your printer and populate them all in here. Again, if you have your typical business setup, you're going to probably have, not including payroll checks, but you're probably going to have about 10 checks a month. Your utilities, your cell phone, your rent payments, obviously your royalty payments, some of those types of things, but you're only going to have probably, call it around 10 checks per month. Now, what's nice here is that you're going to, right, enter everything right through here. So let's see here. Previous reconciling. And so what we need to do is set up our bank account. Okay, I don't necessarily want to set up my account, but what we'll do is we'll go ahead and go to our sample one. And so switch companies. So I'll show you the one we already have set up. Again, if you're new with us, you probably have already seen this or a version of this with one of our other companies. Okay. Okay, so again, what you're going to do now is once your bank is set up, you'll actually be able to use your registry, and you can see here there's a selected bank, Stable Education Bank. Now you can see we just put some general statements in here. We opened the account with $500, okay, opening balance equity, $500. We sold a sale here on November 28th, and that was deposited. And so let's go ahead and pretend like there's another deposit, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to go through here, and let's say you sell a sophomore. So it would be $29.99, right? So you just simply go through there, and you're going to start to put in here all the information, okay? That's obviously a check. I want that check. Okay. Now, you can see basically all of your different types of incomes on here. Okay? So no need to hit this because, again, that's for checks. So you're going to hit this, and you can see your different types of incomes. Right? So what we have in incomes really is ACT or SAT classes, college planning, okay, obviously income, college trips, money that would come in from a college trip. Maybe you did some consulting on something, right? So maybe where somebody hired you for an hour. Have I done that? Sure, I have done that. It's going to be a lot more money. It's going to be $200 or $100 an hour. Maybe somebody wants me to help look at their FAFSA form, you know, something like that. I could do something for an hour. Again, we don't do that a lot. I would never do it more than once with the same family, or they got to sign up for the full package. But have I ever somebody said, hey, can you sit down and talk? Sure, I'm going to do that. Okay. Disc income. All right. So maybe you start charging for, you have a $2.99 disc. All right. You could put that in there, and then miscellaneous income. Maybe you get somebody pays you some extra money, or sometimes I get refunds back, and so on. So obviously this is $29.99, and it went to college planning. Okay. And so what you can do is just put that in there. It obviously has today's date in here, and now I'm going to record it, and it's going to be add right into my particular balance. If I have a deduction, okay, so maybe I go and I have a particular check, so that was 1003 right here. So maybe I want to go through and I have Office Depot. All right. Well, obviously, it's not in there yet for you, right? Because you're a brand new business and it's not in there. So what you can do is you can do a quick add, or you can do a setup. A setup is, who is this person? Is it a vendor? Is it a customer? Or is it who is it for you? And so what you can do is put the information in here. So every time Office pops up, it's going to pop up Office Depot. Okay, so it's kind of nice. Okay, so let's say I spent $154. I bought some paper, I bought some ink cartridges, and so on. So I'm going to list it in here, ink and supplies, and I can be able to go in here and set it up for office supplies. Now again, these have already been mostly set up for you because of the consulting. So office supplies, and save, and it takes it right off my balance. Now let's say you have to add something new, right? New vendor, again, maybe it's a customer job or something with B&I, or again, marketing. So maybe you have your chamber, okay? So you can add new. Again, chamber is going to be kind of like a vendor, and you got your chamber of commerce, okay? And again, feel free to add in more information, phone numbers, stuff if it's appropriate, and now you have, again, the Chamber of Commerce. So maybe you join the chamber, and it's $299. I can go under here and be able to put it underneath some type of marketing or some type of advertising and so on. Now, let's say your stuff's not on here. I don't see marketing on here. So what I can do is I can just go here, add new, it's an expense, and I'm going to simply call it marketing, and I now have a marketing tab underneath my QuickBooks as an expense. Okay, so again, pretty easy, basics, but it does take a little bit of getting used to it. So now I can have that, the $299, and I subtract it through here. Now you probably saw on here, again, kind of getting back to my registry. Again, there's my Office Depot, there's my Chamber of Commerce, here are my deposits, and I'm going to go through, and at the end of the month, I'm going to do my profit and loss. I want to see what my business made for a particular month. What were my expenses? What were my, how much did I bring in? So you can do a profit and loss statement per month. You change the dates up here. You can also go back and say, hey, this fiscal year, right? So here's, again, all the different expenses and everything that I might have. So you go to reports, company and finance, profit and loss, and a balance sheet. Balance statements are going to be your two things that your accountant is going to want to take a look at. Now at the end of the month, close this report. Don't necessarily want to save it or do that. Don't necessarily need that. But then at the end of the month, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reconcile my account just like you would reconcile your checkbook. So you're going to go through and reconcile it. And what I would normally do is end your month, get your new statement on the first, second, third of the month, reconcile it on the second, third, fourth of the month, so you can make sure your royalty statement and everything that gets shipped into corporate is correct. And that's one of the reasons why our royalties are due to corporate by the 10th. So you can send them on the 7th, and they're due to corporate on the 10th. Now, as of December 2016, I realized that this might change this coming year with some new electronic stuff that we're going to be having to come out. But in general, right now, you mail your stuff on the 7th to get to corporate by the 10th, and that's because the first week of the month, I would hope that you're doing some type of reconciling of your particular business. Now, this takes some time. It's the 4th title in our business. You often hear that franchise owners have 7 titles. Obviously, you have to be a marketer. You have to get clients before you can be a college planner, number 2. And once you're a college planner, guess what? You do even more marketing by number 3, being a promotional person, promoting your students, promoting your kids, promoting test scores, promoting anything that's happening with your business. But then the 4th one is an accountant. Now, we don't want you to be a professional accountant. We're not here to be webmasters. We're not here to be accountants. We're not here to be promotional products experts. By the way, I'd like you to have a budget, obviously. But I always say, why are you trying to worry about cutting costs when you can make as much money as you can? Our budgets are what they are. And if they're $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month, sure, they can change a little bit, but you're not talking about a $52,000 office expenses that you can cut off 10% and save $5,000. But you can make as much money as you can. But you have to stay on top of it. And that's number 4. Being a good QuickBooks person, a good accountant, working with this, getting some training in your community, setting up your business is what you'd want to be able to do. Now, all these different tabs at the top have a variety of different things. Vendors. This is really important come the end of the year. Right now, again, it's December 15th. So my people that are people I should be sending 1099s to. Again, one of the areas that could absolutely destroy your business is getting in trouble with somebody you're not doing the proper taxes with. If they're totally independent, means they can control their own schedule. They come and go as they please. Maybe you don't do that much with them, but more than a couple $100 a year, maybe they're an independent contractor. Maybe not. If you control their schedule and you tell them where to go and what to do at what time and so on and so forth, that sounds like a salary type of employee, and that's an employee, so you take all their taxes out. Again, get with a professional in your area, your accountant or your person, for the different types of things regarding that. Underneath our Dropbox, if you go to Class 101 and underneath New Hire Forms, there's a lot of things for independent contractors and W-4s and 1099s and I-9s and non-competes and our contract and everything that you might need to have there for when you do start somebody. But what I would do is at the beginning is set up your business, get it rolling. If you do have a new employee or if you do have a new independent contractor, different types of things like that. There's obviously business expenses. There's how you're going to do your car, the mileage, or paying for the car, or having a car set up in your business. Again, different scenarios dictate what you want to do. I have always paid for my miles. So in the past, I've done lots of miles. I've had probably over 10 of the 20 years, again, here in business, I've had over 30,000 miles on my car. Because again, traveling around the country, visiting locations, or again, clients, or whatever the situation is. And so if I have 30,000 miles, well, depending on again, 30,000 miles that I actually use in business, so I'm going to be able to do that by the mileage calculator. So every year that changes. So, but typically it's 52 or 55 cents or 54 cents, somewhere in that range of every mile. So what I can do is I can have a reimbursement every single month of my mileage. So if I have 1,000 miles and I get 55 cents a mile, that means I can reimburse myself $550 for the month for 1,000 miles as just a round number of maybe what I put on my car for that month driving in business-related types of expenses. So there's lots of creative ways. Again, a 401k, I have one through my business, I always have, and I contribute to it every single year. Whether it's health insurance for your family or a variety of other different types of things that you can do. Obviously, a lot of these pre-tax, it could help save you money on your particular business. But first thing first, and it's setting up your business, setting it up correctly, making sure you set up your balance, get your bank set up in here, and again, you're going to be able to put all of your particular deposits and all of your expenses in here, and then you're going to run your reports and do your reconciling. Customers we don't necessarily have, but what I would advise is going through all of your tabs here at the top and trying to understand your business. I think where some people get in trouble is they start this, and then a month later they try to do it again. And maybe a couple weeks later they try to do it again, and then a month later they try to do it again, or at the end of the month they put in all their expenses and so on. Again, I believe that every single week, just a little bit every single week, getting good at this every week is the key to the success, is having that discipline that every Friday afternoon I'm going to enter my expenses, I'm going to enter my deposits, I'm going to look at my business at the end of the week and say to myself, what did my business accomplish this week? This is the fourth title of a franchise, and so a real important one. So if you can make this one a priority every week for just an hour, you'll have everything set up, and at the end of the year, you won't have to enter all these different types of things. Learn about QuickBooks. It's a developed skill. Most of us are not accountants. We need to be a little bit, but not a full-blown accountant. Let them do their jobs. It's worth it to pay somebody $500 or $1,000 or whatever to have your taxes done and get it all set up and so on. Remember all the time and effort and energy and stress it would take for you to do that. Have a professional do it, like somebody hires you to do the college planning. So thank you very much for listening to the webinar. Feel free to take your time and listen to this again. And this is how you set up your business. And if you're going to be in business, learn to work on your business, not necessarily just in your business. And this is a great way of being on your business and on top of your numbers, and hence on top of your profits. Thank you very much, and have a great day.